Today we're going to share with you our 5 tips for maximizing your sales at farmers markets.
Before we even considered starting a farm, one of the things that we noticed when we would go and shop at farmers markets is people are not necessarily very good at doing sales. They would be, not interested in chatting. They'd be ignoring us as we walked by. They wouldn't be doing too much work on doing their marketing, and it seemed like people were leaving, a lot of money on the table instead of, doing the best that they could at the farmer's market.
A lot of the displays were lackluster, and it just gave the impression that these people were farmers and not salespeople.
Yeah, it felt like they didn't care.
So when you're on your property, you're farming, and when you're at the market, you're selling.
Tip 1 is one of the simplest things you can do, which is just be inviting.
You want to stand up and be open and inviting. I like to say hello and, maybe a brief comment after that, ask them how their day is going. Something open-ended to get conversations started. No cell phones, don't even bring a chair. Don't give yourself the option of sitting down. A little game that I'll play when people are walking by the stand, say they get about 3/4 of the way by, you know that they're not going to stop. And then that might be a time to say, hey, how's it going? How you doing today? And a lot of times you can get that person to turn around and come into your stand. So you can pretty much attribute whatever sale you make off of that person coming and looking at your produce to the fact that you gave them a greeting. Eye contact is important. You don't want to be wishy-washy with your greeting or your eye contact, because that's awkward and that can actually have a negative effect.
One of the best ways I was explained this concept when I worked in a retail store was you are the host to your party. If someone came into your house and came to your party, you wouldn't not say hello. You wouldn't not offer them a drink. Your job as, doing these retail sales is to be a host or hostess. So, treat it the exact same way. No one's gonna be offended when they show up at your party that you offer them a drink, and no one's gonna be offended that you wanna say hello and chit chat and, offer them what you have to sell.
And as far as posture goes, I used to wonder what to do with my hands, like where do they go? What feels natural? I find now just this simple holding my hands in front of me is a polite way that doesn't look weird to just stand there and hang out.
Tip 2 is to have good branding. Now that you've gotten them to stop at your stand, give them something to look at. If your stand doesn't look like anything, they're going to pretty quickly move on. One of the classic farmers market sayings is pile it high, watch it fly. And that means when you have this massive stack of produce, it looks really good and people are drawn to it. If you just have a thing or two on your table, it doesn't look like anything, which doesn't give people a reason to be excited for your stuff.
There's times where you may be serving multiple customers, so you want your pricing to be clear and concise so that people can help themselves a little bit.
We also make sure to have consistent branding. We stamp our name onto anything that we can, and all of our signage has the same look so that when people look at it, it all has a cohesive look together.
All of that together means that where someone else might only be able to get $1 for their zucchini, we can get 2.
We're trying to give the customer a feeling that we're a high-end boutique, and the branding that we use, we feel, helps to achieve that. We were at a farmer's market on Sunday, and I actually saw one of my neighbors who had produce. They didn't have a tablecloth on their table. They just had a basic wooden table, and they had a few things spread out on it, and everyone just walked by. Those little things that you don't necessarily think of maybe your first time doing a market can make a huge difference. One of the ways that we designed our branding and, the look of our display is we went to multiple markets, we did a Google image search, and we found displays that looked really good, and we tried to copy them.
So you should copy us.
Tip number 3 is to know your customer. It doesn't matter if you got them to stop and look at your nice display if you don't have anything they want to buy.
In a video, Connor of Neversink Farms mentioned that he's noticed in his customers, people don't really cook. And so the customers want to buy things that they can eat raw without cooking at all. And we have followed that because it sounds fairly logical.
That set off some serious ding ding ding.
And it's rang true for us. A lot of our biggest sales are carrots.
Baby carrots.
Baby carrots to eat raw, and salad greens or lettuce heads.
I've been shocked at the number of times I've been asked if you can eat zucchini raw. People don't want to cook.
Yeah.
If we had ended up at the farmer's market only with things that needed a lot of cooking, I feel like our sales would be significantly lower. If we were there with potatoes and eggplants and beets, we definitely would not be selling the numbers that we're selling. But that also depends on your market.
It doesn't matter what people say they want. What matters is what people actually buy. So you're better off to track your sales and see what people are actually buying than to listen too heavily to people who say, oh, can you bring this more obscure thing to the market? Because you might find that you put all this effort into bringing it and you only sell 10% of it.
Yeah, or the person who asked for it doesn't even buy it from you.
Yeah.
And I'd say that that is the same with pricing. If you don't have people complaining that your prices are too high, your prices are too low. If everyone is happy with your pricing, you want at least someone grumbling that it's too expensive, or else it's just money that you've left behind. So definitely don't take what customers say is too expensive to heart. Watch what isn't selling. I've had people complain that my radishes are too expensive while selling out on them, which is clear proof that, I could have even maybe made it 50 cents higher. Tip number 4 is make sure to upsell.
We set up our pricing to do upselling for us. So we do a lot of 2 for $5, $3 each or 2 for $5, $2 or 3 for $5. And it really drives sales. A lot of times people will be grabbing a bundle of carrots and I'll say, those are $3 or they're 2 for $5. I tell them the price without them asking, even though the price is there. As soon as they pick it up, I take that as an opportunity to try to encourage them to buy multiples.
Informing them about the price is helpful, but it also is just that push that some people need to spend that extra $2.
It's not just about selling more of the product that they've already shown an interest in too. Don't be afraid to encourage them to buy something else. You can talk about a zucchini recipe that you made the previous night that was really tasty to gauge their interest on zucchinis, and then use that as a segue to, tell them about the prices or the different varieties you have.
People at the farmer's market love talking about how to cook the food. And so because we have all this stuff, it's really easy for us to say, oh, we use this item and this item and this item and this item together in this specific dish. And that also encourages them to add those extra items on too.
They've come to a market. There is an expectation that there's buying and selling happening. Don't be afraid to ask for the sale or to push some items on them. For me, a lot of the reason that I grow is because I want to encourage people to eat more local vegetables. So I don't feel bad about trying to encourage people to buy these products because, ultimately they're in everybody's best interest.
We only bring our best to market. All the calls are what we eat. There's nothing there that isn't amazing. So I don't feel bad being like, oh, you should get this. It's awesome. Because, legitimately.
Yes, you should get this.
It is awesome. Tip number 5 is a little bit controversial. Don't chase the cheapskate.
There's always going to be a selection of customers who want to pay less than others. Like they're seriously looking for low balls, they're looking for deals. And if you set your pricing to make them happy, then you're going to be leaving money on the table with everybody else. So you have to set your prices so that a certain percentage of the people that come and shop with you are going to walk away saying those prices are too high. We see it, every market. There's some person who walks by and is like, whoa, they shake their head, or they ask us to confirm that that's what we're charging for something. And when we, do confirm it, then they say, oh, that's too much, something of that sort. But like Serena said, if we sell out of a product by the end of the market, then it wasn't priced too high.
One point that I've heard said over and over again on this is your goal is to build loyal customers. And that customer who's buying from you because you are the cheapest person at the market has no loyalty to you. The second someone comes in and undersells you, they're on to them. And you haven't built a quality clientele. You've only built those people who will ditch you as soon as there's another option. If you find people who value you, value what you're doing, and will pay the price that is the value of what you have, those people are going to stick with you. You're not going to lose those people. And so that's where you want to put your energy.
Serena used to sell at a different market that was quite busy, and she sold baby products, children's clothes, diapers, those sort of things. And we started finding that the average ticket for sale was so low that if she was constantly selling, like say it took 5 minutes to deal with a customer, she couldn't make more than $400 or so at a market if she was selling constantly. And there's always going to be those slow periods and those busier periods. So you have to think about how to get your ticket price up to a point where you can actually make a living. So if everybody's selling something for $1, well, you can't sell something for $1. So what you're doing is you're selling 5 of them for $5, right? You're not selling it for $1, you're selling 5 of them for $5, so that at least you're getting that money.
Yeah, if the quickest customer you can think of is going to take a minute, if they're only buying $1 item, that means you can only have 60 customers in an hour who spent $1. That's $60 an hour. Our farmer's market is 4 hours. That means the maximum we'd be able to sell if we were running off our feet the entire time is $240. The math tops you out. You want to weed out those customers who basically are just going to be bleeding your time, because ideally your business will get big enough that you'll be busy the whole time. And if you aren't selling a value enough to pay for someone else to be there with you, then why are you even there? You got to value your time.
I would say that the most important overarching point of this is that farming is farming and markets are sales. And you have to keep those in mind and separate the two.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how great you are on the farm. If you suck at selling to people, it's gonna be awkward at the farmer's market. And for some people, it might be worth the money to hire someone to do it for you. If you can get someone who goes in there and sells twice as much stuff for you, it's money well spent.
Yeah, they pay for themselves, and you're getting more time to do what you're good at.
A lot of these tips are things we feel anyone can do. They're, the very basic stuff that, when you just take that one moment to step back from what you've been doing, you might realize that you just need that little tweak, and all of a sudden your sales go through the roof.
So make sure to cut us a commission check for all your increased sales. And thanks for watching.